We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pastrami Nation podcast. I'm Kevin, and joining me today, we have a very, very special interview. Becca is here to talk about the Wormhole Club Tragedy, a graphic novel. She has a Kickstarter coming up. We're going to talk about the book. We're going to talk about the Kickstarter. We're going to talk about all that. But Becca, thank you so much for joining me today on the Pastrami Nation podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, we're so thrilled to have you. And so let's talk about the Wormhole Club Tragedy. Before we got started, I told you that I read the first issue and I freaking was like gripped just from the very beginning. And I'm so excited to read more. But can you tell us, what is the Wormhole Club Tragedy? Like, how would you describe it? And what are some of your inspirations for? First, let's talk about it. What is it? What is the Wormhole Club Tragedy?
I'll just read one elevator pitch I have in the Kickstarter campaign as I'm editing it for the seems like you work on it forever, right? These Kickstarter campaigns before you launch.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, Dr. Mateo Meyer's patient, Todd, insists that the rumors on the internet are true. The young woman who died at the Wormhole Club fire was murdered. Todd also swears that her murderer, Forticia Vortex, has been stalking him ever since. She only exists on the internet. So Mateo investigates what his patient's crazy claims. He goes down the rabbit hole and gets deeper and deeper into it. And it overtakes his mind eventually. And so it's a mystery, cosmic horror kind of story. If you're into like, the inspiration behind it is if you went into the movie store, like back in the 80s or 90s, you walked into like the anime or the horror section and you got the weird like sci-fi body horror stuff. This is for you.
That's the good stuff. And that's the vibe I got from it. I got kind of like a cool, like grindhouse type vibe to it. Like you don't know what's real, what's not. And I thought that was really, really fascinating. And one thing I did love about the book too, was that just the first issue alone, it touches all these social issues that we're dealing with now, right? Like you have, there's so many layers to it that I really wasn't expecting. I wasn't sure what to expect kind of going into it. And again, it's just the first issue. But you deal with like online, you deal with almost like this Slender Man type myth, right? The story, no one knows if it's real, if it's fake or whatnot. And I found that super, super fascinating. And you deal with a bunch of other social issues that we're dealing with right now, just currently with, just like, not necessarily political, but like all kinds of different, things like, everything. What was kind of some of your, how hard is it to kind of, I have a question about that as an aspiring writer myself. How do you like layer all of those different layers to create the story? Because, obviously the main story is about the fire and the combustion and stuff like that. But you have all these different characters. You have Dr. Mateo, you have all these things kind of happening, and you have his personal life that's going on with him and his dad and his family. How do you kind of layer and kind of, I guess my question is about pacing as well. Like, how do you, especially with the first issue, how are you telling the story that you want to tell, but also kind of throwing in these other little things? I'm just curious from a writer's perspective.
I don't know how to answer that. I guess like even as a kid, I always loved like weird things with layers, whether it's like books, movies, mostly movies and TV shows, or even some games, like even some of the more recent games, like say Doki Doki Literature Club. There's layers and layers on top.
Oh my gosh, that game blew me away. I could do a whole episode about that, but anyways, continue.
So I guess I've always gravitated towards that, and like before I got into horror, I watched with my family a lot of murder mysteries, and those have lots of layers on it, right? So I guess it just crept its way into my writing. I don't know, but every project I'm like, oh, it's going to be simple, it's just going to be a fun, easy kind of project, and then it gets more complicated as I go along, and it's like, how does this happen?
I guess that social commentary aspect is really important in any kind of sci-fi, good sci-fi and horror. I mean, like I got a X-Files poster behind me, and like X-Files was really good at that as well. Like really kind of layering a lot of the stories. And I didn't think, like, you bring up something like Doki Doki Literature Club, and I I remember when I first played that, people were like, dude, you need to play this game. Just check it out. Like, don't ask questions. Just play it. And first I was kind of like, wasn't sure, but I got into it, and
Yeah.
the layers and by the time I got to the end, I was just completely blown away, to the point where I was like telling everybody they need to play this game. And especially what I know, and this body, this horror
Yeah.
sci-fi element to it, which is really, really, really cool.
Yeah, yeah, and I just love exploring stuff like that. And I loved on YouTube the game series from that game.
Oh,
I just that was like a pastime for a
phenomenal.
while, just going down
Phenomenal.
that rabbit hole. So yeah, and then also this time, unlike my previous projects, I worked with editor Drina Joe. So usually
Mhm.
I'm kind of haphazard when I work on my own, but this time it was nice to have somebody go over what I've written and created. And she's like, "Could
Right.
you explain this part a bit more? Maybe, and maybe this might need another page."
Yeah.
It was nice to have another set of eyes look it over. And then it was also an interesting challenge where there's something that it's going to be a new reveal, and I'm not purposefully not telling her yet. Sorry,
Oh, I
Drina,
love
if you're
that.
watching. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's really cool. And so when you first started writing the Wormhole Club Tragedy, it was independent, correct? Did
Yeah.
you do it kind of, you released it on the website and everything like that?
Mhm.
Um, was it all online at first, or did it kind of, was it like physical at all at that point?
I started physical first. With my previous
Okay.
comics, I just posted it on my website, just make it
Gotcha.
just a web comic kind of thing. This one, I only put most of issue one like as a preview on my website, and then the others I just released them in print,
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
just to try something different, basically.
Fair.
So it's been an interesting experiment. I think after Wormhole Club, I may go back to posting in a web comic format again on the website. So yeah,
That's
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And yeah, so how did you guys, so you're with Source Point Press, you're
Yes.
part of the family now.
Yes.
Um how did that come about? And what did how did you guys start talking about the book and releasing it as a graphic novel and stuff like that?
It's been I've known them for a few years now, on and off. So they would come over to the Fan Expo shows. The Comic Cons I go to are the Fan Expo Canada shows and Toronto Comic
Okay.
Con. So before the pandemic, they would be around. And I met them through Jay Clark, who has the podcast and Elegant Weapon, and now he's the lightsaber guy on YouTube and TikTok and all
Oh,
that.
cool.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
through him I met the people at Source Point before. Josh, I think I met Josh in person. Again, everything's just a blur since before
Yeah, yeah. No,
before the pandemic. And Travis, and then post pandemic was when I met Dirk and tabled next to him in Drina that weekend and got to know
okay.
them well. And it was after that moment where Dirk approached me and he's like, "Hey, I'm the new editor in chief now. We're interested in Wormhole Club." So
It's so cool. So
yeah,
just kind of, yeah, that's awesome. And we talked to, I've spoken to Dirk before, and he's an incredible guy.
yeah.
I saw him at C2E2 this couple weeks ago, and I got to interview him, and he's incredible. And
Mhm.
that's really cool. So you guys, the Kickstarter is in pre-Kickstarter right now, right? The actual
Yes.
Kickstarter hasn't launched yet. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what the goals are, and when you
Mhm.
guys are planning to get that going?
Yeah. So right now, the launch date is set for 4/20, April 20th.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
I got feedback from somebody that's like, "Your comic's trippy." I'm like, "Cool." And then I looked on the calendar and I'm like, "Oh, hey." And it's
There
also
you
the same
go.
week I'm going to Calgary Expo, so I thought, why not,
Of
launch it on the
course.
week, and it's that one's one of the bigger shows in Canada. It's a 4-day show, also run by the same people who run Fan Expo Canada.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, yeah, and Calgary's a fun show. Definitely, if any of you are in the area, check it out for sure.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so the rewards. So we've got the 48-hour early bird, the Eclipse reward, where you get the book PDF. This one I haven't decided. There will be a freebie with this one too in
Okay.
this year. Just to, you know, still in the editing stages of it. So it's going to be a print. It could be one,
Understandable.
maybe three, maybe a bundle.
Okay.
It's at a yeah, at a discount. So once the campaign launches, the 48-hour early bird begins there. There's also, of course, just the book. there's local pickup for those in Southern Ontario. There's a book and art print bundle. We've got 2 guest artists contributing pinups.
Sweet.
One of them is Jonathan Kuchua of Grotesque Comics. He's a great indie local talent. And the other
Nice.
one is a recent superstar, James Edward Clark from the Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre.
That's so
He's
cool.
yeah, so all their pinups are awesome, and really excited about that. We got the retailer 5-pack at a discount, and I've got for the higher end tiers, we got 4 art collector tiers, and each art collector tier has the original cover art of the comic book issues.
Awesome.
Yeah, and for add-ons, I've got the original issues, commissions, and the one thing I'm waiting for right now, and it's looking amazing. I just got an update from the sculptor. It's one of the add-ons will be a Vorticia Vortex sculpt, so
Oh, that
make
is
it into a figurine. Yeah,
that is so cool. It must be so
yeah,
cool to see all this stuff kind of come to life like that. Like that's really, really amazing.
yeah.
So for the Kickstarter, they can just go to Kickstarter and the Wormhole Club Tragedy. They can look that up and all that stuff. So that goes live 4/20.
Yeah.
They have a question about you. So you did the art for this book. You also
Yes.
did the writing. I'm curious. Did you kind of start on? I know a lot of people that you start with kind of one or the other. Were you an artist first, then got into the writing, or were you a writer first, got into the art, or was it just kind of organic thing that just a symbiotic thing that just kind of happened organically?
Artist first. I've always
Okay.
loved drawing since I was a kid, and then the writing came much later. I wasn't terribly good at it,
Right.
and then it kind of clicked in eventually. And then I just like, hey, I like comics. Why don't I try both? It
Yeah.
seemed easier for me to write that way instead of writing a novel, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, I consider myself an artist first, and I just love making stuff up, basically.
No, and that's really cool, and that's what it's all about, and that's
Yeah.
just being creative and stuff like that. And so yeah, I'm like I said, I'm very, very excited to check out this book. The first issue, I can't say enough good. I was just transfixed. Like my wife
Yeah.
was like, "What are you reading?" I was like, "You gotta check this out. This is really cool." So I
Thank
can't wait.
you.
Yeah, of course, of course. And once it goes live, definitely going to be shooting it out on all of our socials and everything like that because
Thank
it's
you so
definitely
much.
worth it. Yeah, and I just love crazy, cool body horror, sci-fi, all kinds of weird stuff. And
Yeah.
this is definitely up my alley, and I absolutely love it.
Mhm.
So yeah, so Becca, thank you so much for taking some time out and chatting with me about this book, the Wormhole Club Tragedy. I'm very, very excited for it to be out in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope. Do you guys have anything? Do you have anything else you're working on other than this book? Is this kind of your? I know that probably your main focus right now, but
Mhm.
are there any books out there that you're working on or that you possibly have out that you like to talk about?
So on the Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre, I helped out with flats on that one.
Oh,
So
cool.
issue 1 and 2 are sold out. Shout out to Fred and James for that. Like that's their child right there. And keep your eyes open on issues 3 and 4. Um, I'll see if I can. I've got some comps, so hopefully I'll bring some of them. I should be able to bring some of them to Calgary in the
Awesome.
next week. So that's April 22nd. No, April 23rd to 26th. The show is. Um, I've got another comic I'm working on behind the scenes that
Okay.
I should be debuting around Fan Expo Canada timeframe, so around the end of August, like as
Okay.
a zine kind of thing.
Cool.
So yeah, yeah. But right now, the focus is the
Absolutely.
Kickstarter, getting the book done, and then finalizing the prices. So one feedback I got from um, one of my friends who saw the preview was like, "Aren't your prices a little bit cheap?" I'm like, "What?" So
Oh, gotcha. Hey,
just need to double check that one.
yeah,
So
don't sell yourself short. Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, make sure
yeah,
you're
and then double check with like, yeah,
absolutely. No, that's super important. That's cool. So,
yeah,
you also have a website
yes,
where you can find all your stuff, and that is thebecka.com.
yeah,
The BECKA.com.
yeah.
You find all your artwork, your more info about the Wormhole Club Tragedy, and all the stuff you're working on as well.
Yep, and all
On
my
that website.
socials are on there too if you wanna follow on any of them. Yeah.
Absolutely, definitely. I'll definitely be doing that as soon as we're done here.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, Becca, I truly, truly appreciate you taking the time. And y'all, seriously, like I said before, check out the Wormhole Club Tragedy. You won't regret it. And yeah, so thank you so much, Becca. And hopefully you'll come back around when the book is out, and we could talk a little bit more about it and stuff like that. That would be incredible.
I would love to come back, and thank you so much for having me again.
So,
It was a pleasure to talk to you.
no, you as well. Thank you so much, and have a good day.
Alright, you too.
Alrighty, bye.
Alright, bye.